When a chef's spoonful displeases the panel, they send them back to the kitchen like an omelette with a pube on it.
It's appalling, and you will not be cooking in my kitchen.
Thank you.
Then they kill him, cut him up, cook him and eat him. Just kidding.
You know, I make food for awesomeness, not just food for tasting good.
And that guy was a professional chef. Many of the aspiring cooks are amateurs hoping to break out of more mundane careers, like this guy, who's got a truly shitty job.
My name is TJ Tiemann. I'm 37 years old. I work at a wastewater treatment plant, and your crap is my bread and butter. Everybody poos, and everybody's got to eat. I'll tell you what, I'd much rather work in a kitchen, cooking food and dealing with what goes into the body, rather than the end result here, what comes out of the body.
You know, I'd have thought if you worked in a sewage plant staring at bubbling human excrement all day long, you'd go out of your way to create a dish that looked absolutely nothing like it. But I'd be wrong.
Ooh, hell yes.
On the positive side, this dish does provide plenty of roughage and appears to be going down surprisingly well with the judges.
Oh, I think Nigella's just found a bit of sweet corn.
Technology and incredible yet bland scenes as Sony hold a live web launch for their forthcoming PlayStation 4 console.
There wasn't much you could tell from the launch because they didn't actually show the machine itself. Instead, a bizarre new Kevin Eldon character showed off the joypad.
For the first time, the new controller. And here it is.
The DualShock 4 joypad quivers when stimulated, has a strokeable sensitive area on the front and an inviting little button down below that aches to be touched, after which it encourages all your friends to come along and join in the fun, like your mum does. If you ask me, the emphasis on sharing is an absolute disaster for the PlayStation because it looks like it's going to turn the blissfully isolated pastime of gaming into a sort of grinning Facebook hell of empty socialised twattery. Still, it wasn't just boring hardware on display, no! There were games too, introduced by people trying to make them sound like things they weren't.
This is a story about the loss of home, the search for a new home and the lengths to which people go to defend it.
Sounds deep.
This is Killzone Shadowfall.
Oh, no it doesn't.
Ingmar Bergman's Killzone Shadowfall is an inspiring meditation on shooting people in the future.
As well as a game where you shoot everyone in the future, there was a game where you drive cars really quickly, a game where you fight dragons, a game where you fight goblins, and a startling tech demonstration of the PlayStation 4's uncanny ability to resurrect the disembodied head of Jimmy Savile and leave it floating forever in a kind of abstract antimatter hell.
Where you can feel his emotions just looking at his face. Where you can see his soul just looking into his eyes.
Not quite Mario, is it? Isn't everyone on the internet horrible? Well, yes, they are. But here's someone who thinks that's just swell. It's US comedian and drunk, Doug Stanhope.
I'm Doug Stanhope, and that's why I drink. Evidently, in the UK, you have some vague, ambiguous laws about mean tweeting.
Where you can go to prison for being abusive on the internet. Where in the United States, being rude on the internet, that's the purpose of it. That's why you're on the internet. That's like making porn legal, but it's against the law to jerk off to it.
A lot of people are against mean tweeting because it's usually at your expense.
You're a big fucking man when you're sitting behind your keyboard, but you'd never say that shit to my face. Of course I wouldn't, because you would hit me. Why would I invoke violence when I can do it happily from the safety of my own home?
Point being, the internet is built for tragedy and inappropriate comments.
Tragedy, that's when comics come to life. Tragedy happens, comic has to spring into action.
You want to be the first on stage or on the laptop to make an inappropriate joke. That's what it's there for. Dead celebrities race to the internet. I can't wait. Whitney Houston, what do you got?
And then people go, that's too soon. And you go, no, they just died. It's perfectly timed. The news broke. I had the first joke on the fucking internet. How dare you question my timing? I'm a professional. Too soon?
For the first time in a celebrity's ego-driven career, they finally are dead and don't have to give a shit about what you said about them on the internet.
How limited is your imagination that not only do you believe in an afterlife, but you still think it has social networking? Where your dead celebrity's down there in line checking her iPhone. Well, I hope I better be trending at least. Well, that comment's a little off color. That's a little salty. Could have saved that till it was cold.
It's weird that the church can say, like, you're gonna go to hell if you masturbate. But if I tweet that your father is in hell because he masturbated, do I go to prison for that, or am I covered under some Religious Freedom Act? I don't know. I'm not a barrister.
A musical interlude now, and the grassroots celebration of artistic authenticity that is the Brits thrilled viewers nationwide from beginning to end.
The coverage kicked off dynamically as Queenio Head Stadium Botherers Muse, led by their apparently 2-foot-tall henchman Matt Bellamy, performed their Symphony for Youth Orchestra Kitchen Sink and Bloke Going Wah.
Before James Corden unveiled the magnificently diverse musical menu on offer that evening.
However you like your music, we have something for you.
You sure about that? Because I like my music bland, OK?
Mumford & Sons are going to be here tonight.
Hooray!
Taylor Swift.
Yes!
Ben Howard.
Probably yes!
Robbie Williams.
Results!
Emily Sandé.
Ace!
And 5 young men that go by the name of One Direction are here.
Oh, jackpot!
Having established its credentials with anarchic awards like the Rock and Roll MasterCard Album of the Year supported by the Sun's Bizarre column, the ceremony continued to wow audiences by handing a succession of meaningless Hearst-ruined statuettes to a dwindling roll call of piss-weak musical farts, interspersed with earnest VTs in which artistes like Trust Fund Wurzel's Mumford & Sons outlined their unique creative vision.
One of the most exciting things about making a second album is doubling the size of the window people get to look in at what we do.
And one of the most exciting things about that window is doubling the speed I tossed that second album through it.
Some of these songs take years to finish.
I can say. There were also spine-tingling performances from the aforementioned Bullingdon Buskers, sexy-backed songster Tintin Bumberclart, the White Clean Vinyl Tweenies, a bright blue Morrissey droid, some hopefully unpaid intern, and caterwauling ice cream Emily Sandé, whose performance transported us all back to a happier time last year, in July 2012, just before most of us had heard of her.
Following another 5 million mentions of Mumford & Sons, the Corporate Import-Export Awards were over for another year.
But don't worry, it's not the last you'll have heard of all the acts featured. No, because they'll all be playing unrelentingly in the background of every clothes shop you walk past, every match of the day, goal montage, touchscreen camera commercial and Britain's Got Talent contestant package you clap your hollow, wounded, disappointed eyes on for the next 500 f***ing years.
Controversy, and the news chickens get in a flap as brainy author Hilary Mantel apparently criticises our Kate.
You can see there some of the language being used in the headline.
A plastic princess designed to breed? I think I ordered one of those off the internet once. The comments upset some of the biggest anchors in Britain, such as this machine-made frontman with a plastic smile.
She's described her as a machine-made princess with a plastic smile. Do you know, I think that's really unnecessary.
It also caused upsetting exchanges on This Morning.
When it's being sort of, I never understand, when it's being polite, gentle, well-mannered, suddenly become plastic and fake.
I think she should shut up.
Even the PM chipped in with his 2 cents.
I think what she said about Kate Middleton is completely misguided, completely wrong.
But not everyone joined in the pile-on. Some had actually read the article.
What this article is, it's a big article, it's a long article, all about the history of consorts, what happens to consorts.
Boring, but she does slag Kate off in it, yeah?
What she was trying to say was that there's something that happens when a woman marries into the royal family. She becomes this image, and we expect her not to necessarily say anything, we comment about her dress, but we almost turn our royal family into dolls.
God knows where she got that impression, unless she watches the news.
With those trademark heels, Kate stepped into new territory. With her green coat, the Duchess wore the shamrock brooch.
Yes, only an eyeless rock could fail to notice the media portrayal of Kate does indeed tend to treat her more like a grinning mannequin than a real woman.
Even on the day they reported Mantel's comments, they couldn't stop banging on about the way Kate was dressed and how much her pregnancy was showing, like she was, I don't know, some kind of plastic princess designed to breed.
The Duchess of Cambridge just inside, wearing a black and white dress and a very visible bump.
When they actually let us hear her voice, it's such a rare event. All the news channels actually treat it like a massive story in itself.
For once, attention wasn't just on how Kate looked, but also on what she said.
Kate can speak?
A small room, a few invited guests, but intense scrutiny.
I'm only sorry that William can't be here today.
You would love it here.
Well done, Pretty. Back in your box.
Based on the book of the same name, Cloud Atlas is a visually spectacular attempt at creating a metaphysically profound blockbuster spanning several centuries of made-up time. It stars Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugh Grant, Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugh Grant, Tom Hanks again, Jim Broadbent, Ben Whishaw and Tom Hanks.
Often when watching films, you find yourself squinting at a cast member and saying, where have I seen them before? And in Cloud Atlas, the answer is in that other bit of Cloud Atlas.
Because the novelty here is that Cloud Atlas consists of 6 separate stories starring the same cast, popping up again and again in different guises throughout.
What are you doing in here? Fun idea in theory, but in practice it means the whole thing feels a bit like playing Where's Wally with famous people, which sort of constantly knocks you out of the storyline, especially when these prosthetic noses aren't always brilliant. It gets particularly weird when, say, Halle Berry turns up as a white woman, Hugh Grant turns up as a futuristic Korean, and when Tom Hanks appears, apparently disguised as George Michael, it's just silly. The film continually flips from one story to another in a manner that sometimes draws parallels between the various Shaggy Dog stories, but more often feels like you're watching 6 different miniseries playing together in shuffle mode. You need a f***ing atlas just to find your way through the thing.
Still, if it's a mess, it is at least a brave mess, although while it has moments of excitement and is visually staggering throughout, it's hard to care about characters whose lives you're experiencing for sometimes just a few moments at a time across 180 minutes.
In fact, the most profound thing I learned about the human condition across its 3-hour running time is how long my bladder can hold out.
Joining me now to discuss Cloud Atlas are Charlie Brooker from the year 1973 and Charlie Brooker from 106 Winters After the Fall, who is actually played tonight by Halle Berry, isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
Have you read the book, Cloud Atlas?
Interesting question. What exactly is a book?
It's a kind of content delivery system. You look at shapes on paper and it makes pictures, I guess, appear in your head. Do you have cave paintings after the fall?
Yes, we do.
Well, it's like those.
Oh, right. In that case, no, I haven't.
Have you read the book? I haven't, although I have to be honest, I don't really know that it would have helped if I had. I mean, I found the whole multiple character thing kind of tricksy and annoying. There is something just inherently stupid, I think, about seeing Hugh Grant playing a cannibal. Yeah, it's like some kind of weird sitcom.
What's a sitcom?
It's like a cave painting you laugh at. Like Mrs. Brown's Boys. Actually, Cloud Atlas is quite a lot like Mrs. Brown's Boys because both Ben Whishaw and Hugo Weaving turn up playing kind of unconvincing women at one point. It's really distracting.
What's Mrs. Brown's Boys?
It's... Well, you're from 1973. I mean, you'd love it.
Can I just say I'm finding this whole sequence quite self-indulgent?
Yeah, I never really liked this bit of the show. Yeah, well, neither of you had to turn up. We didn't.
What? We're not here? You're imagining this whole thing?
Don't be ridiculous. I can see you quite clearly sitting there and... Oh. Paint! And a heterosexual male dares to subvert everything with an unconventional colour choice.
Are you mad? Pink!
Pink! Shortly afterwards, the naysayers are trying to hold a party downstairs, but being saddos, it's sadly underpopulated and looks a bit like the before bit in a Harlem Shake video, he said, contemporarily. But wait! Upstairs, Mad Dan's pink bedroom is acted as a sort of instant lady honeypot.
Pink!
Now he has the pick of all these easily mesmerised girls. In fact, just after closing that door, he painted some pink walls white, but they couldn't show that bit.
Yeah, well, that is about all we've got time for. Programme ends. Until next time, go away.
J is for Joints with Jack Whitehall and Jimmy Carr on the panel for QI tomorrow night. That's at 10 on BBC Two.